Welcome to How I Rent It, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on the tent rental industry. I'm Tony Ehrbar, the owner of American Tent, one of the leading event tent manufacturers in the U.S. As someone who got started in the event rental industry over 10 years ago, I'm excited to bring you the stories behind the people who keep events running smoothly. Was watching an episode of Shark Tank one night, had a couple of beers, and went on Craigslist, and in Green Bay was a tent rental business.
At the end of the day, failure was not an option. I'm going to do this.
Is this your first time on a podcast?
It is my first time on one, listening to one, seeing one. Yes, sir.
Each episode, we'll talk to inspiring event rental business owners to learn how they got started, the challenges they've faced, and their secrets to success. Whether you're dreaming of starting your own rental business or just love hearing great entrepreneurial stories with plenty of in-tent puns thrown in, this podcast is for you. Stephen has been through the rental industry for over 15 years.
And I was born under a tent.
This is the part where we're going to get into where we're going to have like VP of HR come in and just like okay the questions and answers. What does Ricky Bobby say? If you ain't first, you're last.
That's it. Absolutely.
So grab your coffee, your notebook, or just sit back and relax with a box of popcorn. Subscribe now on Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, and join me as we uncover the journey behind the tent rental industry and how I rent it. Welcome back to How I Rent It, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the tent and event rental industry. I'm your host, Tony Ehrbar, owner and CEO of American Tent. Today, I'm excited to sit down with Ramon Rodriguez, owner of Sunny Party Rentals in Englewood, Colorado, which he and his wife founded in 2022 after getting ghosted by a rental company and then scrambling to secure tables and chairs for their daughter's first birthday party. Since launching in 2022, Sunny Party Rentals has quickly become a trusted name across the Denver area, known for their attention to detail, reliable service, and a full range of high-quality rental products. In this episode, we'll talk about what it takes to build a strong local brand, how Sunny Party Rentals keeps customer service at the heart of everything they do, and what Ramon has learned in just a few short years of rapid growth. If you're passionate about creating great experiences and want to hear how a young company is making moves in the industry, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Ramon, man, how's it going?
I'm doing good, Tony. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are things out in Colorado?
Good. It's still warm for November, so we're appreciating the sun. So staying outside as much as we can.
Yeah. Are you a fan of some of the local sports teams?
I am. Yeah, I love the Denver Nuggets. They're doing great. Same with the Broncos. I mean, I know is it Packers? You're a Packers guy?
Packers guy. Yeah, I got my Packers helmet behind me for those following along at home. It's been an interesting ride. We play you guys. I think we play you guys here in the season. I wasn't excited when I saw it on the calendar.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good this year.
Yeah, great. Cool. Well, tell all of us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm Ramon with Sunny Party Rentals. We established our business back in 2022. And ever since then, it just continues to grow steady, which is awesome. We're learning a lot as we go through the years and as we get bigger contracts. But it's a very interesting, dynamic, always fluid-like business, as you would know. A lot of the guys in the industry are always learning something, and the groups that I'm in on Facebook, it definitely helps.
Yeah, no, for sure. We were talking with Justin yesterday from Party Rental Knowledge Facebook group. And they're developing a school program, SKOOL, which is a fun way, but it's a program that people can sign up for and takes you through a lot of courses. And then obviously we have a bunch of videos up there. We got Peter McVeigh, who everyone loves to meet. We'll be at a trade show next week. We're going to IAPA. That should be fun. Me and him and his girlfriend or his wife. Sorry. Anyways, let's go back to getting your business off the ground. It's kind of a wild story about your daughter's first birthday. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so for my daughter's first birthday, we found, the typical story, some guy on Facebook Marketplace selling some equipment or renting some equipment. And so I sent him a message, hey, I need, 20 chairs or whatever it is and a couple tables. And right away he replies, yeah, absolutely. I'll get this delivered out to you. What time's the party? 2:00. 2:00 comes around on the day of, right? And there's no tables or chairs. So we're waiting around being hopeful that he's going to show up. And I think, maybe 30 minutes goes by and people are starting to funnel into the house. I knew right away he was never going to show up. I kept calling him and he wasn't answering. So I believe I ran to like Sam's Club and Target, Walmart, whatever was closest at the time. And bought generic folding tables, and we use the couch and a couple dining table chairs and stuff like that to make it work. So we didn't have to buy much, but we bought just enough to make the party happen. And that kind of got me started in the industry, just mostly thinking about it in the background.
Yep.
I didn't buy anything quite yet, but it ran in the back of my head for about a year. Like, hey, it can't be that hard to deliver some tables and chairs to a small party.
Yeah.
But that's where it started. It started from just this little mistake. Right after my daughter's first birthday, I relocated to Florida for 3 months for work.
Yep.
And since I relocate for such a long period of time, the company I work for, they give you a bunch of money for you to leave your family.
Yep.
When I came back, I had some extra cash. I'm like, this is the time to buy it. So bought some equipment, and I'm still in the business. So
Yeah. Nice. I'm assuming reliability is at the heart of your business because of that person being unreliable.
absolutely, yeah, we try our best to never be on time, but be early.
Yeah. Nice. That was my grandpa's motto. If, 5 minutes early is on time and at the time of the meeting is late. So,
Yeah,
so what were you doing before starting the business? You said you were traveling down to Florida and
yeah.
doing jobs. What were you doing?
Yeah, so I'm actually a engineer, and I basically build satellites, put them on top of a rocket, and launch them into space. And that's always been my background, engineering and systems and getting things done right the first time. And if you don't get it right the first time, how can we streamline it and create a system to get it right the second time? So that's what I do for a living, and still doing this as well. So it's very interesting as we get larger every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I'm currently still doing as well.
Okay. So I have a feeling you don't. I was going to ask if you had any hobbies, but I have a feeling work, work, and then hanging out with your daughter.
Exactly. So it's working and then going back to work and then
Yeah.
just relaxing at home for the 20 minutes that I have.
Okay. And I'm sure I can't ask you any more detailed questions about your satellites. My friend also works for a defense contractor, and every time we try to ask him, we get the most generic answers,
Yeah,
which is always entertaining. So, and I believe your wife works in the business too, right?
she does. Yeah, she does. She does the real work, dealing with a lot of the customers, and doing all the face-to-face contacts with our contracts. So she does a lot of the legwork, and I'm just the grunt, with my guide. We're just, it's in and out of trucks.
Okay. So you guys are kind of a hybrid between what I call a weekend warrior and being all in on it, right? You're doing a lot more stuff on the weekends.
Yes and no. So we've got lucky enough to hire some good guys. So they're able to go out by themselves. They're able to put up tents by themselves. Obviously, tables and chairs are easy stuff, but we got some good guys that were able to pick up very quickly and run it for me while I'm at work. So we have stuff going out during the day. We have stuff going out at night, weekdays, and in and out during most of the week. So we got lucky with the guys that we have.
So you mentioned getting some money for that job you had down in Florida. You use that to fund the business. Can you tell me what you use the money for?
Absolutely. So when I first came down here, the original purchase from the first order we received was 100 white plastic chairs, 12 8-foot tables, and 10 6-foot tables. So it fit literally in the corner of my garage. We could still park in there. It took up almost no space. It's still all stacked. So it's super easy to still be in a garage with our own stuff plus the business stuff. Shortly after that, I sold one of my vintage Land Cruisers, and that really streamlined the tent inventory. So I sold that on eBay, and it gave me a lot of capital to go ahead and buy my tents because I knew I wanted to buy tents. I just didn't know when to do it. And you seeing the price difference from tables and chairs to tents, it's kind of sticker shock. And especially now, 3 years ago, it was still doable, but now it's only getting more expensive.
Yes, yes, everything's getting more expensive. We're American made, and still my American made components are going up in price, which is crazy to me. So, but yeah, so the sticker shock on tents get it. Luckily, you get probably a tag from your customers or a price from your customers that's better, right? And so, how do you think about pricing and recouping your money on some of those investments?
Absolutely. I know a lot of people like to do, like 10 times or whatever, want to make it back the 10th rent or whatever it is. But I just jump in an Excel spreadsheet and, kind of look at how long do I think this will last and just kind of base it off of there. And if I know my expenses are like super low, I don't have to be the most expensive, the cheapest, but kind of there in the middle. But yeah, so I'm an Excel guy. I love diving into Excel and really get into the numbers and get into the macros. So I just really want to be fair as well. I know a lot of people don't have the biggest budget. So we try to be fair. We don't want to be the most expensive by any means, but we're definitely not the cheapest in town. It worked out in our favor, mostly because a lot of our clients always come back to us because we stay right there in the middle. And yeah, we just try to be fair to ourselves and also our customers.
Yeah, makes sense. Were there any unexpected costs when you got started?
Yeah, I would say storage. As we started growing, obviously we grew out of the garage. Wife wanted to keep parking in there, so she's like, "We got to get this stuff out of here." So with storage, we went from our little garage into our, I think it was a public storage at the time,
Okay.
and I believe it was at like maybe 10 by 30 or 10 by 35 or whatever it is at the time. But one thing I didn't realize is they continuously upped the cost. So, it's just not, it's a fixed $500 or whatever it was at the time. They continue to increase that cost monthly. So one day I'm checking my Excel spreadsheet and looking at our bank, and I'm like, why did they, go up $60? And I call them like, oh yeah, in the contract you signed shows like we raise it every 6 months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I went from that single public storage unit to a second public storage unit and then to a second or a bigger storage unit. And now we're in this 1,200 square foot RV storage where we keep everything in there with, I think it's an 18-foot tall ceiling, it's
Okay.
wide, and so it's really nice, but it's expensive.
Right. How do you you said Excel nerd. How do you think about forecasting your business and the revenue growth, but also some of the costs?
Absolutely. I know like there's softwares and systems out there like QuickBooks and stuff that easily tracks all of that. And at one point we did buy it and subscribe to the monthly cost to let it do it. But I just love doing it. And even we now have a CPA, and he's like, you could just do this all through QuickBooks. And I'm like, I like it though. I enjoy it. It takes little to no time.
Yeah.
Do it basically weekly during the summer. Every Friday I'll jump on my laptop and I'll just start going in there. What's gas? What did I spend on food with the team and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's easier for me to track and trust it because I did it. But I know eventually I'm gonna have to offset it into a software.
Yeah. How many jobs are you doing on a weekend typically?
Oh man, during peak summer, we're probably doing between 20 and 30. It gets pretty
Okay.
intense. A lot of
Yeah.
it, I would say half of that would be some smaller jobs, like people picking up, right? They'll pick up 5 tables and 50 chairs or whatever it is.
Right.
But I would say the other 50% is those tents with all the dance floors, tables, chairs, lights, sidewalls, and heaters and stuff like that.
Yeah. So pickups can be a little tricky sometimes. How do you guys run your pickup program to make
Yeah.
sure it runs efficiently and safely?
That's a great question. We ran into an issue at one point where we would just tell anyone, "Hey, pick up whenever you like," right? But we continuously have to go back and forth. So now we have a window. It's like, okay, you have Friday between 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. to pick this stuff up. And most of the time there are events on Saturday, so picking up the day before is preferred for them as well. So we try to aim for Friday pickups and then same thing for Monday drop-offs. Before, come drop it off Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. With the amount of trips we were making back and forth to the shop, we learned quickly that we're just wasting so much gas and so much of our time. Either we dedicate 2 hours on, each of the Friday and Monday to receive and deliver or let the people pick up.
Yeah. Yeah. Cutting out unpredictability is nice, certainly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It sounds like you're a guy who likes predictability.
Yeah,
And as an engineer, I would assume, right?
definitely.
Yeah. So if you don't use QuickBooks, how do you do invoicing and all of that stuff with your customers?
So we use Good Shuffle Pro.
Okay.
That's new to us this year. I believe we got into that development around February. We got it before our season picked up, and they've been awesome. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's great. My wife loves it. It's super user friendly. If we need to change anything in there, it's like almost dumb proof for someone like ourselves who've never ran a business to go in there and edit stuff in and out.
Yeah.
We also like that the contract's locked in there for the customer. It shows our address for pickup, and but really breaks down into other categories where you can put notes in there that only the customers can see, and you have internal notes for myself to see, and it also pairs with Google Drive and all the other Google stuff. So it's easier to link it to our calendar, and it's just so user friendly, and we love it. It's worth every dollar.
Yeah. You said something there. So having not run a business before, what surprises were there for you? And I'm sure there were a lot, but if there's any that you can kind of think of off the top of your head.
Yeah, just working 24 hours. I don't think it will ever stop that way. We luckily good shuffled tracks when someone emails us and can, auto populate stuff for us. But it's 24-hour. A business is not, just a couple hours a day. It's nonstop, and it's weekends, holidays, and it's
Yeah.
just nonstop work. And if anyone tells you different, don't believe them.
How do you balance that then? You had your daughter, do you have other kids too, or just
I
her?
have 2 girls, yeah, 2 daughters.
How do you guys balance the family and having to work all that time?
I think mostly it's sticking to a schedule. Like I said, we had to find what worked best for us and not letting, I guess, customers really dictate how they want to get picked up and drop off stuff. Same with deliveries. We wanted to make sure that we can deliver things on time, if not early. So we just make sure that we stick to a schedule, and then you just use Google Calendar. This call was on Google Calendar. Doctor's appointments are on Google Calendar. Everything's on Google Calendar. So if I have something on there, like my daughter's teacher conference, it's on Google Calendar, and I can forecast it a week ahead, and it's always locked in there. I don't have to try to remember.
Yeah. So talk me through, do you use AI at all in the business? I know as an engineer, I'm sure that's a daily thing you might work with, but in the business, do you use AI at all?
Absolutely. So mostly if we have like a weird request, like, hey, can you deliver this over there on top of this or underneath ground, whatever it may be. We love to use, Gemini or ChatGPT and be like, how can I respond to this? Being polite, but also saying, no, we can't do this.
Right.
We want to make sure, the customers are at least understood that we want to do this for them, but it's almost impossible. So
Yep.
we like to use it as almost like a liaison, and just asking like, how can I do this politely or respond to this properly without sounding kind of rude.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I originally started using it as well to map my routes. So I would just post the addresses in ChatGPT saying, "Hey, if I'm starting here at my shop and I need to go to these 6 locations and get back, what's the fastest route?" And it would route it for me, but you can't trust it 100%. Being in Colorado, I know which routes to take generally. And it'll say, "Oh, go to Colorado Springs first and then to Boulder." And I'm like, I don't think I should go in that direction. So it's kind of like a liaison, but you still have to really know what you're doing, not depending on it too much.
Yeah. So I was out in Colorado. We were talking about this before, and I was down in Pueblo and Colorado Springs, and I know that's a long drive. How far do you guys go, and how do you think about pricing that out? Because obviously gas prices change, and how many people on the crew go.
So in the past, you would go anywhere. We'd go as far as the customer would want us to go. But as we're getting bigger and, time is, you only have 24 hours in a day, we slowly brought that into a smaller radius. So we would go down to the Springs if we have to, if the event's big enough. Of course, people still call us for 2 tables delivered down there. We give them to our good friends down there. But yeah, so we would go anywhere where it actually makes sense. So we'll price it out and see, are we going to make any money on this for paying, 4 guys to go set up these tents? If not, we were more than willing to send it to other people. We want to save our time, especially since we're already so busy, but also save the customers some money. I know for sure myself, I wouldn't pay, $4,000 when 3,000 of it's for delivery. It's you got to be realistic at a certain point, but there are customers that will pay that. We have driven places and I've overquoted it. If they really want it, I'll price it insanely high. So I won't be mad. And people book it. But if you price it high enough where if you do get it, you won't be mad. So
Yeah.
that's my philosophy.
So on the transportation front, are you a box truck guy? Do you have pickups with trailers? How do you do deliveries and driving all around?
We have a pickup truck with 2 trailers and a cargo van. So that's been working really, really well for us this year or for the past few years. We do plan on buying a box truck this winter, though. We have a specific venue that we go to weekly, and the trailer works perfect. It's only tents, no tables or chairs, and our truck just fits perfect in there, and it's really nice. But we've gone to some places where it's even tighter quarters, and that's where a box truck will come really handy. And we've also noticed training people to reverse a trailer. I'm good at it now, but trying to teach some 22-year-old,
Yeah.
it's gonna take them a while. And by the time the season's over, they figure it out, but now they're kind of not working, you know? So I think the box truck is a no-brainer for a growing business. So once I get to that point and purchase one this winter, I'm curious on how it's gonna go.
Yeah. So having been out in Colorado a lot, it can be sunny in the morning, snow in the middle of the day, and then hail, and then it's sunny again. How do you deal with all that unpredictable weather?
Yeah, that's a great question. I always bring in my truck, I always have a raincoat. It never leaves the truck. It's always in there. So when it's raining, you just throw that thing on because there's been times where we're soaked, right? And it's terrible. But also, no one likes stepping in wet grass and soaking their feet. So all my guys wear steel toes that are waterproof. So no one has to worry about wet feet and slipping or whatever it may be. I know a lot of people are okay with tennis shoes as long as they're, closed toe shoes, but we like to go up just a little bit more in safety. We do steel toes that are waterproof, not slip. It's challenging though. The weather here in Colorado is very challenging, but we try to accommodate, with sweaters and like with these shirts, SPF shirts for the sun since we're higher in elevation and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could come out and work on your crew swinging a sledgehammer. I have a hard time. I mean, walking up a ton of stairs or something in Colorado, it's just so different with the altitude.
Definitely.
All right, well, so let's swing back to when you got started. Tell me about your first event and how it went.
Oh man, I remember this like the back of my hand. So I originally started on Facebook Marketplace, just posting on there, hey, I have some equipment. Does anyone need it? And we had this couple reach out to us, hey, we're having a birthday party at a park. And being new to the business, I was like, oh yeah, I'll drop it off and pick it up whenever the party's over.
Yeah.
I didn't have any website or payments or anything set up where it made me legit, nor making sure I'll be covered by getting paid. So I delivered this equipment. The plan was they were gonna meet me there and pay me there. I get there, no one's there, right? It's
Yeah.
just an empty park with a bunch of kids at a playground and the people who are having the birthday parties, getting ready or whatever they're doing. I had to run, so I text them a photo of the tables and chairs next to a tree, like, "Hey, I dropped it off where you guys need it. I'll pick up the money when I come to pick up." They never respond. I'm like praying and hoping that everything goes smoothly and someone doesn't just take the equipment, right? They never respond. 8 o'clock comes around, sun's going down, and I do one more text. Hey, how's the party? Can you just let me know what time it ends? 9 o'clock comes around. I figured they're not gonna pay. Let me go to the park and see if anyone's there.
Yeah.
I get there, there's no lights on at the park, and everything's stacked up against the tree that I originally put it on. So I'm wondering, did they even use the equipment? Pack everything up, still text them the following morning. Hey, never received payment. Hopefully everything went smooth. She finally replied, I'm so sorry, we were busy. I will go and meet you wherever to pay you. So luckily I did get paid. It could have been worse, like stolen equipment or not getting paid. But yeah, it was not fun. The other thing I want to add to that, when I first started, I was doing this out of my car. I didn't have a truck. I didn't have a van. I didn't have anything. I have a photo of me in it was a Chevy Cobalt with chairs in the front seat, and there was tables like through the trunk into the back seats with seats folded down.
Yeah.
I was determined to see if it was gonna work. So I didn't know what I was doing, but it was out of a very small compact car. So
Okay. You'll have to send that picture over to Paige and we will post it over this segment of the podcast because I'm sure everyone would want to see that. So is the moral of the story don't do business on Facebook Marketplace?
I wouldn't say that. We get a lot of work through Facebook Marketplace. I would
Okay.
say that 25% of it is through Facebook Marketplace. We just have it more legit. So
Okay.
we just have it, they reach out to us like, absolutely. You can either send us all this information, first and last name, email, phone number, and address of the event,
Yeah.
or you can go directly on our website and I'll send them a link, right? If they don't trust me, which I understand it's Facebook, I would not say stay away from it. The same with just social media in general. It's been really awesome to our business.
Yeah. Talk me through then the ways you get customers, right? Is there recurring customers, but what are kind of some of the inbound and outbound channels you use?
Absolutely. So Google Ads is huge for us. Definitely pay a good chunk of change into Google Ads monthly. And I don't know who said it in the industry. It might have been Adam's the Tent guy. Like every dollar you put in there, you always get some money out of it. And at first we were skeptical, putting all this money in, hoping you get money out of it. But majority of the time you do if you do it right. So Google Ads is very, very good to us, but also Facebook, Instagram. I started using some LinkedIn stuff. We haven't had any traction in there, but I post in there occasionally.
Right.
But overall, it's mostly Google Ads and Facebook Marketplace.
Okay. And you do all the Google ads yourself?
My wife does. Yeah, she does a lot of the marketing. This year we did hire a SEO company
Okay.
to go in there and like really fine tune and update our website. My wife and I try to do it. Well, mostly my wife. She tried to do it,
Yeah.
and she was honest. She's like, "I don't know what I'm doing. I hope this is right. We should reach out to someone." So we found a company local in Colorado.
Yeah.
They made our website look pretty. They make it look more legit from what we did. But we originally started just populating stuff, and it worked for us in the beginning, but as we get bigger and getting these bigger contracts,
Yeah.
you want with more professional.
Okay. So what platform do you use for the website?
I don't know. My wife does all that. I have no idea. I don't think it's WordPress. I've heard WordPress in the past, but I don't think it's
Okay.
WordPress.
Yeah.
I think we started on like Canva making images, and then we threw it
Right.
into I couldn't even tell you. I'm sorry.
That's fine. What's your wife's background?
Yeah, so right now she works for a healthcare company. She has a pretty high role there, and she does some sort of systems architecture in there. But it's something that she loves and she's really good at.
Then how do you guys think about splitting the work? Is it very clear functional roles, or you kind of pick up slack from each other when one gets busier at work?
Yeah, it's a great question. So originally we were just, it caused a divide, right? Like you do this, I do that, or whatever it may be. But we came to terms pretty quickly. It's like, lean on me, I lean on you. If you don't know the answer, reach out to me. And a lot of it was mostly just dealing with the customers. And, it's easy to set up the equipment, but it's the expectation that the customers are hoping to get. And, what time are you delivering? I have a few more before this, but it's just mostly communication through voice call. Text isn't the best when you're trying to run a business with your significant other.
Yeah.
Just call them. It's faster, and to do it live, do it as fast as possible.
Yeah. What's the trick to working with your wife and ensuring your marriage stays healthy?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. I think just over communicate really. Just don't expect anything. Don't let them try to read your mind, but just have it all out on the floor there, and just tell each other exactly how you're feeling. In the beginning, it's really rough, especially when you're working at the same time. But don't expect anything just out of nowhere. Just over communicate for sure.
Yeah, I like that communication thing. I'm a big Brené Brown fan, and she talks about resentment, and I feel like that's one of the things that could build up, and it's a result of unmet expectations. So if you're communicating, setting expectations with each other, do you guys have like a Chinese firewall between work and then when you're at home, you're not allowed to talk about work things, or is it always talking about work?
We've gotten really good at putting that filter in there. Anytime we're with our daughters, anytime that I would say after 6 p.m. we turn that light off, and it's just about us now, and it's about our daughters. So around 6 p.m. that's when we really like dim the lights on the business and really focus on the marriage, on the house, on the kids.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that we have a marriage on the outside of our business, but it's important for people who are starting or currently in business with their partner and working is just knowing when to turn off that light. In the beginning, we didn't know when that was, but I don't want to be in bed at 10 p.m. talking about work. I just want to just lay in bed and just holding my wife and going to sleep comfortably. So
So you both do this part time right now. Have you talked about, or do you have any thoughts about going all in, if you will, or do you like the balance you got now?
it's interesting you mentioned that. I think this would be our last year at our employers. And when I say this our last year, I think until our season picks up, which is like around graduation season, like May-ish.
Yep.
So I think it's unfortunate because we both really love what we do. But this year, both my wife and I took a small leave of absence of 2 months from work.
Okay.
And we only focused on the business. And it was probably the best 2 months of our lives. Not only because we just had more time to focus on the business, but just to focus on each other and our daughters, and not necessarily that it like frees up a bunch of this time, but it's just so much easier to manage one thing than multiple, right? So I think I'm certain that this would be our last year with our employers.
Okay. Well, that's a good experiment to be able to do, right? So I've owned a couple businesses along the way. I had my rental business that we sold, and I opened a wedding venue. And someone once told me, "Whole ass one thing, don't half ass two things." And I'm sure you're not half assing, right? But that's a lot of work, and I'm sure the business thrived over those 2 months. As sounds
Oh,
like
yeah.
your family too.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was probably the best 2 months in the past, like, 3 years.
Yeah, nice. So, any big challenges you faced when getting the business off the ground, or any lessons you've learned that you think others would benefit from hearing?
Yeah, I think mostly just build the business properly, right? And I say that it's relative, right? Building a business correctly, it's all relative. So I think just doing things very professionally. And when I say professionally, I would say like buy the proper equipment. Don't try to get one over on people, and also just make sure safety is like the number one thing.
Yep.
I think a lot of people skip out on safety, and it'll come bite you in the butt. You know, we've had an event that we've done since we've started at a college near us. It's Denver University,
Yeah.
and we had a tent go up during spring, and it snowed in spring in Colorado. And luckily, everything was secured properly. We had sidewalls, we had a heater, and everything was perfect. But we had this weird snow that came down that was like super heavy slush, and it collapsed our 20 by 40 high peak tent. But luckily, we did everything we could to make it safe. But I mean, if you have someone that just threw a small canopy up there and a couple water barrels or sandbags or whatever people use, that thing would have blown away because it was heavy winds, weird slushy snow. But that's what I would recommend. Be professional, buy the right equipment, and just do things right the first time, even though the saying is buy once, cry once, right? It's not gonna be fun, but just buy it once, the nicer equipment, and it'll be better.
Yeah. How have you learned as you've gone along? Did you go on YouTube? Like, where are you learning about safety and all those things?
I learned a lot from Adam the 10 guy. I originally reached out to him. I think it was through YouTube or Facebook or one of those platforms. And I said, "Hey, I'm starting a tent business. I'm in Colorado. I would love to have you as a mentor." And this is before he started his program. So, I mean, that guy is truly, the GOAT of the industry. So he responded like, "Hey, yeah, dude, if you have any questions, please let me know." And same with there's another company in Colorado Springs. The company's name is Marvin Rentals. Kyle and Jenny are the owners.
Yeah.
Uh, and just working with other companies near you, ask them, what have you learned this year? What went well? What went wrong? Don't tell me all your secrets, but what could you do better, or I could do better, or we can do better in the industry. And in terms of safety, I'm a big safety guy, especially in the engineering background. You want everyone to get home safe, especially with like heavy equipment, right? You don't want no one to get knocked in the head or lose a finger. But I always just try to find things that will be safer and more efficient. But safety over anything for me, for sure.
Yeah.
I want everyone in steel toes, no tennis shoes. Steel toes is the only thing we do. Bright shirts. There's times we're on the side of the road and cars are buzzing by us. So I'll have my hazards on with nice reflective shirts, but also gloves protecting your hands,
Yep.
sunglasses to protect your eyes against that bright vinyl and stuff like that. We have hard hats. We don't really use them as much as we should be, but we have hard hats. We have earplugs for our steak hammer.
Yep.
So we have everything to try to be more safe. But if there's anything that's even safer than that, like I'm more than willing to invest the money to make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah. Now that's important. I did think people, as you're growing the business, they don't appreciate that. Appreciate being sure you have insurance. They're all the risk management of owning a business. Cause I mean, one tent falling down on a group of people pretty much ends a business, or one of your employees getting hurt, same thing. So I appreciate that you guys focus on safety so much. Tent guy gets referenced almost every podcast that we do, which is awesome. We had him on, just great guy in terms of all the knowledge he has. I'm sure he's trademarked tent guy, so I'm going tent man. That's my license plate. I think
Nice.
I mean, it's up here behind me, but that's license plate. So my friends always know when they see me on the highway, but all of my devices are named tent something. Like these are my tent pods, my ear pods here. So,
Nice.
yeah, my phone number is, ends in the word tent if you were to spell it out. So
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah,
Was that intentional or did that happen by accident?
that was intentional. When we had our rental business, it was one of the numbers ended in rent, the other one ended in tent. And then
That's awesome.
my dad worked for me at the time, so I got him Gary was what his spelled, because his name, he was very happy
Nice.
to be able to do that. So Talk to me about the main items you have in your inventory so people can kind of appreciate what type of things you can put out there with customers.
Absolutely. So, of course, we have our tents, right? We have our 40 wide tents and we have 20 wide tents. And we also have pop up tents in 10 by 10 sizes and also 10 by 20s. In our area, it's a lot of those smaller subdivisions where they're building like crazy and their backyards are so little. So, we knew right away that, a lot of those little families in these smaller lots are going to need some tent coverage, but they're not going to need a 40 by 80.
Yeah.
So we bought a wide variety of different pop-up tents. We have about 35 10 by 10s and maybe 5 or 6 10 by 20s. And those really are like really popular for us in this area.
Yeah.
Some people it's not depending on your demographic, but here in at least in the subdivision that we live in, it's very popular, so we have those going out religiously. It's a very popular item. And then when you get into some bigger lots, and we have plenty of 20 by 20s, 20 by 30s, 20 by 40s, 20 by 30 being our most popular in that size. Those are, the medium sized parties. And then we have our 40 by 40, 40 by 60, and 40 by 80. And those are for the weddings. And that goes out pretty religiously as well this year. That since we just purchased it last winter, that 40 wide is a game changer in terms of logistics, in terms of revenue, in terms of labor, and in every aspect in the business. So we had to learn quickly like how to get that thing up fast, take it down fast, and make it profitable. But it's very popular. I can see why people get into those bigger tents because everything goes underneath it, right? You have a lot of lights, you have a big dance floor, all the tables, all the chairs, all the linens. So it's a very big ticket item, but it does take a long time. So you got to price it correctly.
Is a pole tent or frame tent?
It's a pole tent.
Pole tent. Okay. And you said linens. Do you work with a linen partner or do you do your own linens? That's a debate of whether you want people who have all their dirty hands touching bright white linens.
So we partner with Choice Linens, and they were recommended to us from Marvin Rentals. And Choice is awesome. We've been using them since we've started. We do have a small selection of just white and black, and also spandex for the cocktail tables.
Okay.
So a lot of that is just the white and the blacks for your 6 foot, 8 foot rectangulars, and our 5 foot rounds. And we that's basically all we have. And that's for those, smaller orders, if they need some, 5 linens. But there are times where someone already has this big order with us and we don't want to lose them and they need 6 more linens. So we'll purchase them through Amazon. And it's not the funnest to sit there on an 8 foot table ironing them. But we know, these people come to us all the time and we can iron a couple linens if we have to, even though it's not fun.
How do you think about adding new things into inventory? You said you went into that 40 wide tent, but talk me through the process of adding new things.
Yeah, so I really like to see whenever I'm out on the road doing deliveries or have my guys out, what kind of tents we see out. There's some properties that we go around and there's on some big land on some acreage, and I'll see like what size tent are these guys renting almost yearly for these bigger events, and I'll go take a look. They'll take a photo and send it to me, or I'll drive past the golf course and I'll see a nice big tent, and I kind of just see what's going on in the neighborhood. And then I'll throw it out there on our website, and my wife will post some pretty pictures on there. And we'll see if we have any traction. If we have enough traction on that item, then we'll go ahead and purchase it, but during the winter to try to save on some of the cost. That's mostly our technique is see what's out in our neighborhoods, but also we have a lot of churches in our area. So these churches are having these 40 wide tents up almost every year. So that's when we knew like let's get a 40 wide. We don't need to get to 40 by 200, but we started with a 40 by 80, and it's been pretty popular for us.
Yeah, a lot of people I've talked to do the same where you put it out there and see if people are interested. I think that's smart before buying our ice cream machine thinking everyone's going to want it. But my wife and most of my friends are always annoyed that every time I see a tent, I have to go up and look at it and
Yeah.
examine the design of it and do all those things. Once you become a tent person, you can't unsee tents. They're everywhere.
Yeah, it's almost like tunnel vision. You see one on the highway, and I have to try to refocus on the road. So I'm looking out the window at this tent, see if it's what it is, what kind of tent, and is it properly secured.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to take you all the way back, and I'm going to give you $15,000 to start a tent rental business. What are you going to buy with that $15,000?
Definitely tables and chairs. Everyone needs tables and chairs. I would probably put half of that money towards just tables and chairs. And then I'd start buying 20 by 20s with some gutters. We do that configuration all the time. We'll have a 20 by 30 with a 20 by 20 in this like thin, narrow backyard. So then we'll have, connected with a gutter, and it's great. So definitely tables and chairs. It's a no-brainer. Everyone needs tables and chairs on inside or outside parties. Corporate events needs tables and chairs on inside events, on outside events. And then I'd spend some of that on some 20 by 20s. If you can buy two of them, do it. Even if you need to do, I think a pole tent might be slightly more inexpensive. Buy a pole tent if you have to. But yeah, cross cable is great because you get, asphalt or grass, whatever you need it on. But definitely tables and chairs would be my number one pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Our most popular tents are 20 by 20, 30, and 40 in the frame tent variety. So that's always what we recommend people getting started with. So cool. Well, let's get into talking about growing your business. So, what strategies have helped you grow along the way?
Yeah, I think just being very polite and open to everyone that calls. If it's a $50 order or it's a $5,000 order, each one of those people who call in still get the same amount of respect and service from us. And that's even during delivery and pickups. Everyone gets greeted with a smile. Everyone's always going to get the equipment early. So it's just being polite, being treated how you want to be treated. If you're the one calling, if I'm going to call, someone to come work on my house, if someone's gonna answer the phone all upset, I'm probably not gonna go with that guy, right?
Yeah.
So I like to just treat people with respect. My wife, she's super friendly. She has the voice of like a secretary. She could persuade you to upgrade stuff. But yeah, she's super sweet, and she could just really tie people to other stuff and really upgrade events. And she has the eye for it too. So yeah, it's nice just being polite, really.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a great crew. Talk to me about how you add new crew members. I'm sure you're really thoughtful about that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was the first year that we hired two college guys that were, back in town for the summer. And it worked out really well for us. But it also at the same time kind of bit us in the butt because they left obviously to go back to college when we were picking right back up or getting more busier. They were amazing during the summer. I mean, both of them were college athletes. One was like this Olympic rugby player, and he was just a bear. He was a monster. And I trusted him with like holding, a concrete block above my head because he was just so strong. And the other guy was a cross country runner. And so he just never got tired. So I think look for those signs. If you could find someone that was either a college athlete or is a college athlete, it's important to hire those guys. The other team members, they all played soccer. So, no one on my team gets tired. We'll be out there setting up a 40 wide and they're barely breaking a sweat. And then there's me just like drenched in sweat. I'm like, oh man, these youngins are killing me.
Yeah, when we had the rental business, we had some football players, we had some cross country runners. Actually, at American Tent, we hired one cross country guy, and now he's brought in like five other cross country guys. So it makes me feel bad about myself that I do almost nothing athletic at this point.
And yeah, so same thing. The cross country guy referred the rugby guy,
Okay.
and they were just both brutes. And since they were friends, they were. I'm surprised they were very professional during setups and stuff like that. But there was a lot of like guy talk in the trucks and stuff like that. But it was great having those. They almost want to be worked out during the day, so that when they go back to college, they're still conditioned. So
Yeah.
they're looking forward to working.
So obviously, just like we do, you have a winter season. How do you keep your crew busy? How do you keep them employed? Clearly, investing in your people is important, right?
Absolutely. So we definitely over communicate that. We let them know when we hire them, hey, this is seasonal. This is nothing permanent. We're not at that size yet to bring anyone on full time during the winter. And so we over communicate that to them. And I think it also helps having like the younger guys who don't really necessarily need a career yet. They just need some extra cash to go take their girlfriends on dates and stuff like that. So it's very beneficial to just over communicate that, saying, hey, I'm willing to pay you well. And as long as you're okay with knowing, hey, I'm only going to keep you for 6 months, 8 months out of the year, or, during your time here during the summer. So we over communicate that to them, and typically they're okay with it. We've had a few interview guys looking for something full time, even during the winter, but, I can't promise them that. And I'm not going to try and pretend that I do, but definitely over communicate that it is seasonal, at least at this time with our size.
Yeah. Have you thought about ways you could get into maybe indoor events or other things you could be doing in the winter, maybe to keep one or two people busy through the season?
Yeah, we thought, we don't have any stage or pipe and drape yet. And now it's one of the things that we're looking into is expanding our inventory to some of those indoor style rental equipment. But we haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet. Another one is a dance floor. Our dance floor goes inside events basically during the winter. So it's super helpful to have our dance floor because that definitely keeps us busy. And it's so easy to set up. The Seco dance floor is so nice.
Yeah.
It's super easy to set up. It's like a puzzle, but it definitely keeps us afloat. Same with just the tables and chairs. But we do want to expand into some sort of pipe and drape or some stage to get some more of that revenue during the winter.
Yeah. It's important to choose a good manufacturer of all of these products. Since I started way back in 2013, I bought my tent rental business off Craigslist. A lot of the equipment then wasn't as efficient as it is now. And so trying to find something, like you said, that fits together quickly is important, right? Because you can get more jobs done just easier in general.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's jump into some rapid fire rental questions.
Yep.
What is one tool or piece of tent equipment you can't live without?
Oh man, I would say actually I'm gonna have to take a look because I wrote it down what it was. I forgot what it was. I try to do something different from everyone because everyone's
Yeah.
so like putters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Oh, a step ladder. I put a step ladder. Obviously, hanging lights. Almost every tent that we put up has lights. And tents is our bread and butter. Tables and chairs is right there with it. But a step ladder. We need to have a step ladder, but also gloves. Personally, I love using gloves. I have a guy on my crew that just hates using gloves. I don't know what it is. I've tried buying him different style of gloves.
Yeah.
He just can't grip stuff right. But I just think that it's his personal preference. But I think gloves is like the top one for me. It's just easier and you feel more comfortable and I guess more secure holding stuff and throwing stuff around. And if
Right.
your finger gets hit by something like an aluminum pole, it's not going to hurt as bad if you have a bare hand. So I think gloves and step ladder. I try to switch it up for you, Tony.
Yeah, no, I like it. You talked about lights a couple times now. Where do you buy your lights, and then how do you keep them from breaking and making your money back on them?
I love Home Depot lights. I don't know what it is, but they're just always accessible, right? No matter what time of the year it is, Home Depot always has that 48-foot bistro lights. I've been referred to purchasing, I believe it's Tentware's G80 bulbs, the white ones,
Yeah.
uh, especially for my pole tent, the 40 wide. I think we need to upgrade. It'll make it look a little bit more sleek, but it's just so convenient. Just go grabbing those same lights, and we probably have God, maybe 20 strands of those 48-foot lights. And we purchased extra bulbs through Amazon. And they're just so easy to put up. And they're really durable. I haven't had any issues with them at all. You could throw them off a second story and they're not going to break. But, in the pinch where I'm completely out of lights, which has happened, I just run to Home Depot. I just run there. I don't have to order anything online. And it's just so easy to get. They're pretty inexpensive too. If you buy during the winter, you could save maybe like 50% on the lights, but they're really easy to set up too, so
Yeah, we used to use Target lights, and I think they were $15 a strand, and we would charge $10, and so you get paid back on 'em quickly, and we were always pulling a light bulb out and plugging it in somewhere else, but Tedwares has great stuff. Their lighting selection is fantastic. They have a new owner now too, so I think we're gonna have him up on the podcast. He has a rental business and gotten into buying tentwares. So he's working hard to get some new inventory in and changing the catalog and everything up. So yeah, definitely someone to check out. All right. What's one small item that's in the glove box of every one of your fleet vehicles?
this is a silly one. It's not really a tool, but it's snacks. So I buy a big tub of beef jerky and I buy a big tub of peanut butter and cheese crackers, yeah, and Rice Krispie treats. Always being on the road, especially still working full time. I just need something I can grab real quick, and my guys destroy those things. And they're fairly inexpensive. It keeps their intake pretty high too. If you're a little hungry, grab a piece of beef jerky. So I think it's not necessarily a tool, but it's nice to have for the guys too. And sometimes it gets annoying though because there's wrappers all over the place. But it keeps their energy high too. So
Yeah, I got to keep those athletes fueled up, I guess.
yeah, and another one is the Igloo 5-gallon orange bucket of water.
Okay.
I fill it up with ice and water before every single day when we have big events, and I just keep that in the back of the truck. Anytime someone runs out of water or if they forgot a water bottle, we don't need to stop anywhere. It's right there in the back of the bed.
Yeah, cool. So most memorable event or project you've been a part of so far?
So every year we do a suicide prevention marathon at City Park. It's an awesome event. The coordinator that we've been working with, she's awesome. When we first originally started that event, we didn't have nearly enough equipment to make it happen. And luckily they planned it way out in advance, like in the winter time. And it's sometime in like, I believe it's September. Yeah, I believe it's September. So we had plenty of time to purchase the equipment. So we booked it with the hope that we were going to make enough money to have enough, funds to purchase the equipment. But ever since we started it, we love doing it. It's over 30 tents, maybe 200 tables, 500 chairs, a stage that we sub rent, a bunch of speakers. But it's awesome. Every time we're done setting up, we like to stick around for a little bit, and it's almost an emotional thing as well. You see a lot of people there grieving for their loved ones, but we love to make sure it's perfect for that group. But it's an amazing event that we do every year. We make sure it's perfect.
You said a word there, sub rental, right? That I think a lot of companies don't think about when they try to get a job and there's two things they don't have and you don't bid on the job. Talk to me about how you sub rent. I'm guessing that Colorado Springs buddies, but how do you use sub rentals to expand your inventory beyond what you have?
Absolutely. It's a great question. So we allow people to sub rent from us as long as they tell us, hey, I'm another rental company. I'm either smaller. Most of the time they're smaller, right? But same thing. If I don't have something, I have someone that's my size that just they might have a stage and I don't. There's a company up north from us, Rentals, and yeah, they have a stage. And every time we need a stage, we just reach out to them, and they're awesome. Same with Kyle and Jenny from Marvin Rentals. We ask them, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? And same thing, they'll ask us, hey, do you have a pole tent for us? Because they don't have a 40 wide yet. And then we'll say, hey, we'll bid it for you guys. If you're interested, we're more than willing to let you guys sub rent it. But there is a caveat to sub renting. There was a few times where I've rented to some smaller companies, let them use some equipment, and it came back destroyed. So you almost have to be okay with having that hard conversation like, hey, I know you're another company. I'm going to have to charge you to clean this stuff now. If not, I'm never renting to you. And I've had that conversation in the past. It's unfortunate, but if you are sub renting, just treat it with with your own respect. If it was your own equipment, and bring it back clean, at the least you can do, wipe it down.
Are there any things you won't sub rent out? Or if it's a tent, would you go set the tent up for them so they're not
Yeah.
putting up your most precious asset in there?
Absolutely. Tables and chairs, it's all free game, right? They could come pick those up. But tents, we've till this day, we've never let someone pick it up or set it up themselves. The pop-up 10 by 10, it's more than welcome to let them pick those up. Those are super easy to set up. The 10 by 20s off limits, same with anything bigger than that, just for safety and liability. I don't want that thing to collapse for improper securing. And my assurance is, hey, well, why'd you let them take a 40 by 40? And I'm like, I don't know, I was in a rush or something. So anything bigger than a 10 by 10 is off limits for us.
Yeah. How do you price out your sub rentals if you're sub renting to someone?
I keep the same price and I just knock off 10%. Like I know they're not making any money off of it. It's sitting in my shop. I can knock it down a little bit, especially during the winter, during Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. We have more inventory than we need. So I always let them like, hey, if you need it, please let me know. I'll knock it off 10%, 15%, whatever it may be. But I try to be fair. Anytime I go to sub rent something, which typically doesn't happen. We try to buy everything that we don't have or that we're going to need. But yeah, we try to be fair.
And do you have rules around sub renting? Does it have to be within a certain window of the date so you don't rent out half your tables and then lose out on a big job?
That's a great question. Yeah, so we definitely we're a bit more relaxed for some people. If being in the industry, I know you're busy Friday or Thursday to Monday almost. And if they need to extend that out and bring back the equipment on a Wednesday or even on a Thursday, we're pretty flexible. But we just always over communicate. We're gonna treat you like the same as a customer. We're still sending you an invoice. You're still paying via Good Shuffle Pro, just in case. And you're still signing our contract too. You can't just come pick it up if you want to. It's still through our contract that protects us. That protects them as well. But we still have them fill everything out like a regular customer would with a small discount.
Yep. I got a little off track from my rapid fire, but that's sub rentals is something I think is important for people to think about as they grow the business. Let's talk about some funny moments. So, is there anything unusual or surprising that you found under a tent, or any unusual or surprising requests you received from customers?
We have our 40 white tay. It typically gets set up on acreage, right? And I don't know what people think sometimes, but they always let their goats roam free when we're setting up these massive tents.
Colorado, man, goats.
Yeah, and we're setting up these big tents, and you'll have this goat just, basically behind you as you're setting up this equipment. And it's you don't know if it's a friendly goat or if it's a mean goat, and same thing with people's horses. Their horses will come over and like be super dozy. They typically leave once we start that jackhammer up. But just livestock, having livestock right there next to you. And we try to tell the customer, like, for liability reasons and safety reasons, please keep your pets locked up. Please keep your livestock locked up. I love petting them afterwards, but I don't want to like get startled and like slip or something, or my guys, someone be allergic for some weird reason or something weird. But just animals
Yeah.
underneath equipment.
Yeah, I don't think we ever encountered any goats. It was normally dogs, cats, but have any of the pets ruined any of your equipment and you've come back to chair chewed up or something?
Nothing like that, but I've definitely had my fair share of like stepping in dog poop. And every time it happens, it pisses me off. I'm like, oh, now I got to get back in the truck, smell it like dog poop.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'll always ask the owner, do you mind if I turn on your water to spray down my boot? And hence another reason for the, waterproof boots.
Yeah.
You just turn it on and you just spray the bottom of your boot and it comes off. If you're wearing sneakers and your whole foot is soaked, but yeah, just dog poop, man. Nothing torn up or nothing, peed on. Actually, we've had linens on cocktail tables, the spandex linens.
Yeah.
You'll just see a big old pee stain. And I'll tell the customer, I'm sorry, but we're not taking that back to the shop. You're going to have to pay for the replacement. And typically they're okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it was a pet and not a drunk wedding guest.
Yeah, that's actually pretty true.
All right, let's jump into some rapid fire non-rental questions. So if you could open any business completely unrelated to event rentals, what would it be?
I would say some sort of like off-road tour, some sort of like 4x4 tour or like ATV tour or something like that. We go to some pretty interesting properties when they're on, over 100 acres, and they have like all these different not exhibits, but packages where companies can go rent equipment, like ATVs, and take them to their land and stuff like that. But I think just some sort of ATV tour or some off-road tour, or snowmobiling tours, something like that, where you're having fun, but you're still working.
Such a Colorado answer.
Right.
I love
It's an
it.
outdoors what?
That's such a Colorado answer. Like I told you, I got part of my team for Renegade Plastics, our sustainable fabric business is out there. And I'm going biking up into the mountains, or I'm going mountain biking or ice climbing. It's just a different world. I could go out and cross country ski. That's the extent of my winter sports, or snowmobile between bars, which I
There you go.
haven't done myself. What is your favorite interview question?
I'd like the question to ask. The question I like to ask is, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? And the reference of my guy Zach being a bear, that was his reference. It's like, I'm a bear, and he was just a stocky, big old dude. And it's an interesting question. I haven't had anyone say like, oh, I would see myself as a snake or anything, and I guess I would be kind of worried about that. Like, what kind of animal what would you be? And also just the typical question of, why do you want to work here? And it's a silly question. It's a very basic question. But I've also had an interviewee say, oh, because my mom's making me. And I knew right away, I'm like, this is not the guy. If your mom's making you get a job, I don't think this type of work is going to work out for you. So just the generic one, why do you want to work here? But also, what kind of animal would you be if you could be an animal?
Yeah. Well, and the why do you want to work here question is have you spent 5 minutes ahead of this interview preparing to understand what we do, who we are, read our website, and those types of things? So smart question. All right. If you had a theme song that played every time you entered a room, what would it be?
I love Kiss. So I would
Okay.
say I Was Made for Loving You. That's my nice song. Every time we go to Las Vegas at the airport, when we're still, not quite drunk yet, but we're waiting for our flight and we got a good buzz going, we throw in our Bluetooth headphones and we listen to that song, and it gets us ready to go have fun in Vegas.
What's your game of choice in Vegas?
I'm not a big gambler. We just love staying up all night. We're night owls, and we can just walk the strip, and we like to people watch. So we
Yeah.
don't do any gambling.
Okay.
And I do with like a couple of hands of blackjack and a little bit of roulette. I'm not a gambler, but we just like to people watch and see the craziness unfold in Las Vegas. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Have you been to Nashville?
I have, yes.
Okay. That's my new favorite over Vegas. It's like a chill version. There's a place I'd love to go to. It's Roberts. I believe it's Roberts or Richards, but they have the recession special, and it's a fried bologna sandwich, a bag of chips, and a PBR. And that's
I would destroy that.
so much better to me than going to Vegas and spending $100 on a steak.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So, what's your go-to fast food option if you're running between jobs and you don't have a lot of time?
I'm not a fast food type of guy. I've never really been a fast food junk guy. Chipotle. I love Chipotle, and it's a lot much healthier than, anything you can get through a drive-through. And I'm okay with spending that small 20, 30-minute window to get something healthy. So Chipotle is our go-to a point where my guys are like, dude, I'm tired of this. I'm like, I'm sorry, but we have to go to Chipotle. So it's kind of unfair to them how much we have to eat Chipotle during the summer. Yeah, I'm a diehard Chipotle type of guy.
Whenever I take a team member out to lunch, there's one around the corner in the parking lot in the front. We're in the back of an old renovated mall. And so it's always Chipotle. Sometimes they can talk me into noodles, but my daughter makes me eat noodles and company so much. But in my first job out of college, we'd go to Chipotle all the time. A bunch of us were trying to lose weight. And so we just go do no rice, the salad, right? And we had a guy in the group who was Muslim and got up to the front and what kind of rice do you want? Got to the beans. Do you want black beans or bacon soaked pinto beans? And he had been getting bacon soaked pinto beans for a year and he can't eat bacon. And so dude turned like ash white and never had the pinto beans again. But I'll never forget Asif getting up to the front of that line and just panicking.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. What's your favorite book or podcast that you like to listen to? I'm sure you got a lot of time on the road.
Yeah, I would say I like Make Your Bed. I don't know if you've heard that one. It starts with, if you could start with a simple task in the morning and achieving it, then your brain's wired to get ready on the next task. So if you just do a simple task like making your bed in the morning, basically wired to do the next thing. That's a really good one that I've enjoyed. It's a very easy, small read book. I highly recommend it to everyone. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I recently got into like finance and stuff like that, like a few years ago, and it's been very helpful for me. But also the subtle art of not giving a fuck. Sorry, I don't know if you need to edit.
Oh no, we can swear. I just had a podcast live at ATA and I think we dropped so many F bombs and
Okay.
so not a problem. And it's a great book. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you read it?
I have.
Okay.
I mean, it's really hard to do the things he suggests in the book, but when you can do it, it just relieves a lot of stress and pressure, right?
Absolutely. So I would say those are my top three. And for podcasts, there's actually a tent podcast. I would say obviously yours is one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with all the people at different sizes in this industry, just so helpful. But also it's the Rental Brothers. I believe they're in Chicago. They have a lot of valuable information. It's like two guys who partnered together. They were originally like two separate companies. They came together to create a bigger company. They have a wide variety of videos going from starting a business to how to make things easier, but also Joe Rogan. I really like Joe Rogan's podcast. He always has something weird people on there.
Yeah.
But I also like just generic motivational YouTube videos. It could just be like the most random, like Shaq quotes and stuff like that, or Morgan Freeman quotes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Rogan I mean, that guy's range of guests are wide. And he does have some off the reservation people that he talks to. So always entertaining. So if you could have a gigantic billboard, let's say on I-5 in California, because that's one of the most traveled corridors, what message would you put up there to get it out to millions of people that you think is important the world needs to hear?
Absolutely. So it's silly because I got it on a fortune cookie, but it's an ounce of gold is not worth an ounce of time. And I feel like recently, since my leave, that 2 months I had, it truly like shifted my life. I consider money as it's a great thing to have. It's a great tool, but spending that extra minute, that extra few little minutes, seconds with my family has been like the best thing ever. So yeah, an ounce of gold is not worth an ounce of time. So money is not everything, man. Family is everything, and just enjoying yourself, enjoying life. We only get one life, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah. What's your favorite activity to do with your girls?
Fishing. Yeah, my daughter loved to fish, so we caught some pretty good sized fish here in Colorado. And when we go down to Florida, we catch some pretty nice stuff.
Catch any alligators down in Florida?
We caught sharks though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're going deep sea fishing.
Yeah. We do
Yeah.
deep sea fishing out in Florida.
Okay. All right. Special talent or most interesting thing about yourself?
Other than I'm an engineer and started a tent rental business, I think that's the most interesting thing about me. No one at my job knows I run this business on the side. I've always kept it away from everyone that I work with. But I think that just running a business full time at this scale while still being able to work on satellites and launch things into space, I would say that.
I was going to say you might be I'm pretty sure you're the only person who launches things into space during the day and sets up tents in the evening and on the weekends. I'm gonna dub you as the only person who has that skill.
Yeah.
All right, let's collect any final thoughts you have. So, any advice you have for someone out there thinking about starting or just starting a rental business?
For anyone starting, I would highly recommend just working hard. It's not fun, it's not easy, but it gets easier over time as you develop systems, as you develop a solid crew, as you start getting more customers and getting these reoccurring customers. It does get easier, but just don't quit. The other thing is keep the biggest stack of business cards in your truck or whatever you're delivering in and just hand them out to everyone. Anytime we set up equipment or we're delivering to a family in a house, if I see a family next door, I'll just throw my business card in their window or in their front door.
Yeah,
Anytime I drive past a sports game, any size of sports, like little toddler stage or up to teenagers, I'll stop in that parking lot and I'll just go in every single car and start putting my business card. So just keep a stack of business cards and just throw them everywhere. And I know some people aren't firm believers of business cards since it's everything's digital now.
yeah.
But if I see something on my window, I'm gonna at least look at it. So just keep the biggest stack you can get and then just throw them everywhere.
Got it. All right, Ramon, it was a pleasure getting to know you. I'm going to take us out from the podcast.
Awesome, Tony. Thank you so much for your time today.
Want to start your own rental business? Visit americantent.com/tent rental and download our guide on the 7 steps to start your own tent rental business. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. For more great content, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And if you want to be a guest, email marketing@americantent.com. Thanks for listening to How I Rent It, and until next time, keep things intense.